One. Welcome to Virtual Wednesdays at the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco. We are so thrilled that you're able to join us tonight. My name is Francesca D'Alessio, and I'm the Senior Manager of Public Programs here at the museums. Every Wednesday night, my team works hard to center representation and accessibility to the arts in unexpected and meaningful ways, with the hope to build empathy and break stereotypes and support new ways of engaging with art. Join us every Wednesday at 5 p.m. We hope you enjoy our programming. Tonight, join us for a presentation by my amazing colleague, Hillary Olcott. She is the Associate Curator of the Arts of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas here at the museums, and the Coordinating Curator of Frida Kahlo, Appearances Can Be Deceiving. Please give a warm welcome to Hillary Olcott as we celebrate the life and artistry of the iconic artist, Frida Kahlo.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Fran, for that introduction. And thank you to all of you for tuning in today. As Fran mentioned, my name is Hillary Olcott. I'm the Associate Curator in the Department of the Arts of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas at the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, and have had the honor and privilege of working as the De Young Museum's Coordinating Curator for the special exhibition Frida Kahlo, Appearances Can Be Deceiving, which I am thrilled to announce is finally open to the public after 6 long months of hibernation. So please come visit us in person. And to maybe encourage you to do so, I am going to give you a bit of a sneak peek of the exhibition, a little bit of a walkthrough today. And before I begin, I want to say a huge thank you to Fran for inviting me to participate today. I'm really excited to be here on this kickoff episode of the new Wednesday night programming. I want to say a huge thank you to not only Fran, but her team as well. I know how much work you all have put into this and continue to put into this. So thank you to each of you, and thank you to each of you out there watching. Please keep watching. There's going to be a lot of great programming happening, so stay tuned. Also, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our exhibition donors and lenders without whom this show couldn't be possible. So with that, I'm going to begin. I'll share my screen, which hopefully not be too painful. Okay, so Frida Kahlo, Appearances Can Be Deceiving, is a very special exhibition that is formed around a remarkable discovery that happened in 2004, at the Museo Frida Kahlo, which is located in La Casa Azul, so called because of its beautiful blue color, which was Frida Kahlo's lifelong home in Coyoacan, Mexico. So in 2004, the museum received permission to open several spaces in the house that had been locked 50 years prior by Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo's husband, who had put away a number of the couple's possessions and requested that these spaces remain locked until after his death. So in 2004, 50 years after Kahlo passed away, the spaces were finally open. And here we see a photograph of Kahlo's bedroom in La Casa Azul. And behind that green door is her bathroom. And this is one of the spaces that had been locked. And in it, and the other spaces, not just in this bathroom, the museum staff found over 20,000 documents from the couple, including previously unknown drawings by Kahlo, over 6,000 family photographs, and maybe most remarkably, over 300 of Kahlo's really intimate personal possessions, her incredible garments made familiar through paintings and photographs, her medical devices, prostheses, medicines, accessories, and so on. And so this finding really enriched and complicated scholars' understanding of this beloved artist. And of course, Kahlo is remembered and beloved by so many across the world for not only her amazing art, but also, and perhaps sometimes more so, for her striking appearance and her bold personal style. But this exhibition and the materials in the Blue House that were discovered reveal that this is much more complicated. So Here we see a previously unknown drawing that was found in 2004 in La Casa Azul. And we see Kahlo making a self-portrait, as she frequently did. And again, as she frequently did, she portrays herself in a long, full skirt and the rebozo, a shawl. But here, unlike in many other instances, the clothing is transparent. It's almost ghost-like. And underneath it, she reveals to us her damaged right leg, her nude body supported by a back brace. She represents her spine as a crumbling column. And at the bottom of the drawing, she writes, "Las apariencias engañan." Appearances can be deceiving. And so this exhibition explores the different factors that shaped Kahlo's life, her appearance, her art, and examines the ways in which national identity, politics, and experiences with disability really contributed to the many facets of this amazing and beloved artist. So the exhibition has several sections, and I'll give you a little bit of a walkthrough first. So we begin sort of at the beginning and talk about Kahlo's family roots. And here we see a photograph. I'll move my face away a bit. Here we see two photos, one of Kahlo's mother on the left and her father on the right. And her mother is dressed here as Adelita, the revolutionary soldier, a heroine of a famous revolutionary ballad. And Guillermo Kahlo, her father, on the right. Her mother was a mestiza woman, half Spanish and half Purepecha, and her father was a German emigre who was born Wilhelm and moved to Mexico in the late 19th century and became a photographer and changed his name to Guillermo, the Spanish version of Wilhelm. And so from a very early age, Kahlo worked with her father in the photo studio, learning how to take photographs and also how to pose for photographs and compose images. She learned how to develop them as well. And from a very early age, we see how photography plays an important role in Kahlo's artistic practice. And in this section, we also discuss two pivotal moments in Kahlo's young life that ended up shaping her entire life. At the age of 6, she had polio and ended up spending many months in bed. And from the result of the polio, had growth restrictions to her right leg. And then at the age of 18, Kahlo was in a near fatal bus accident coming home from school. The bus that she was riding was struck by a tram and she was thrown from the bus. Several people died and she nearly died. She had an extremely large number of injuries. And in her recovery after this, she begins to paint. Her mother gives her a folding easel and installs a mirror in the canopy of her bed so that she can spend some of her time convalescing, painting. And so we're really lucky in the exhibition to have the only example of Kahlo's interpretation of representation of her accident. She draws this 1 year to the day after she had it, as we see from the date at the bottom of this drawing. And in it, we can see how she portrays both the moment of the accident, but also the aftermath as well. And we also see a phenomenon that Kahlo plays with in a number of her works. As she progresses as an artist, she often plays with this sort of duality, these different sides of herself, but also this idea of perhaps of psychological splitting, of protecting one part of herself from trauma and inventing another part of it herself as well. So we see one Frida Kahlo head floating over the body that is damaged on the ground. So then we move on to then we move on to the next section of the exhibition, which kind of pulls out a little bit from Kahlo's life and talks more about the world that she was growing up in. So she was born in 1907, very much the child of the Mexican Revolution, which began in 1910, and she conveniently changes her age later she changes the year of her birth to 1910 later, so that she aligns with the sort of birth, her birth aligns with the birth of New Mexico. But she always identified with the revolutionary cause and remembers Zapatista's soldiers running through her yard as a child. And so here is a very early painting that she made. And in it, in the center, she portrays herself as Adelita, the same character we saw her mother dressed as in the previous photograph. But unexpectedly, Kahlo depicts herself in a very glamorous European-style evening dress. And she also doesn't represent her bottom half of her body. She, even here in this early painting, doesn't really know how to perhaps grapple with these parts of her body that cause her a lot of pain. In this, we can also see that she's experimenting with different sort of artistic styles. She's not quite found her way yet, and she is looking at cubism, metaphysical art, folk art. But she is, even from this early point, exploring self-portraiture. And later, after the revolution, there's a period of great fluorescence in Mexican culture, and artists from all over the world flock to Mexico, and artists in Mexico host them. And together they come up with this sort of new style that really it really explores Mexican culture and celebrates the diversity of the people, of the land, instead of looking to foreign places for inspiration. And one way that Kahlo sort of embodies this outside of her art is she adopts this style of dress that we now think of as quite iconic to her. And here we see on the right side of the photograph, Kahlo sitting in her Tehuana garb. She's wearing an embroidered huipil, a shirt, and a long skirt. And on the other side of the photograph are two women. There's Alfa and Nereda Henestrosa, and they are the great aunts of Circe Henestrosa, who is the guest curator and founding curator of this exhibition. And so they would bring outfits from Oaxaca to Frida Kahlo, who never went to this region. And Circe Henestrosa always talks about how this photograph was what inspired her to begin this exhibition, that she always wondered why it was that it was this dress style that Kahlo adopted. So if you come to the exhibition, be sure to listen to the audio guide, which you'll be able to access through your phone, and you can hear Circe talk more about this photograph. The next section of the exhibition talks about Frida Kahlo's more immediate environment, her house at La Casa Azul. And we can see in this section that she uses her environment as a great source of creative output for herself. She and Rivera decorated the home that Kahlo's father had built in a very European style. They redecorated it in the 1930s after they got married in this very flamboyant, beautiful style, bright blue walls, and covered it with pottery and pre-Hispanic artworks and folk art of different kinds, and just a great celebration of Mexican artistic creation. And they filled their garden with plants and flowers of all sorts, animals. And Kahlo also, in turn, used her surroundings as a source of inspiration for her paintings. And we can see that here in this still life, in which a ceramic from ancient Colima is in the center, depicting a hairless dog. And all of the fruits in the still life are Mexican fruits. And of course, we see the Mexican flag in the background. And she painted this for her dentist, Samuel Fastlicht, in exchange for perhaps some treatment. So the next section of the exhibition discusses Frida Kahlo's time in San Francisco. And some of you might know, some of you might not, that Frida Kahlo came to San Francisco in 1930. We see this photograph of her there. She and Diego Rivera had just gotten married. She was 23 and had never left Mexico before. They came to San Francisco because Rivera, who was much older than Kahlo and was already a very well-known artist, had been commissioned to paint a mural in the Stock Exchange and at San Francisco Art Institute. And so Kahlo came with him, and she loved San Francisco. She thought that it was such a beautiful city. She loved seeing the ocean, and she also loved how diverse it was in this city. And she realized while she was here, I mean, she celebrated all of these different people, these different communities wearing their respective dresses and ensembles, and she realized that she was special for wearing her Mexican dresses and her jewelry. And so this is the first time that she really embraces, and she embraces this mode of expressing her pride as a Mexican woman. And so we see that in this double portrait that she paints while in San Francisco in 1930. And this is in the collection of SF MoMA, so it's a local painting, and we're really delighted to have it in the exhibition. And here we can see that she shows Rivera as the great artist, and she's more of the demure wife, but she is for the first time wearing her long dress, her rebozo, and her pre-Hispanic jade jewelry. And while she's in, and I want to mention before we move on, this painting was actually included in an exhibition that was held in 1931 at the California Palace of the Legion of Honor. And it was an exhibition organized by the San Francisco Women's Artists. And it was a competition between East versus West, as in California versus everybody else, New York, Mexico City. And so Kahlo entered this painting in this competition, this exhibition. She did not win, a California artist did, but it is nice that it sort of has a homecoming at the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco all these years later. While in San Francisco, Kahlo did a lot of painting. She really expanded her artistic practice, and she painted people that she met here. So on the left, we see a portrait of Mrs. Jean White, who was Rivera's assistant's wife. And Kahlo paints it from the apartment that they lived on Montgomery Street, across the street from what is now the Transamerica building. And so behind Mrs. White, we can see the view that Kahlo saw through her window while she was in San Francisco. So I encourage you all to go down to the financial district and see if you can recreate this view. Let us know if you can. And then we also see a portrait of Dr. Leo Eloesser that Kahlo painted here in 1930. And unlike Mrs. Jean White, Dr. Leo Eloesser remained a very close and intimate friend of Kahlo's for a number of years. He was Dorothea Lange's doctor, actually, and Lange, who had also had polio, recommended Eloesser to Kahlo while they were here. And they became very fast friends. And as we'll see later in the presentation, Eloesser ended up playing an important role in the relationship between Kahlo and Rivera. Oh, so here is, I'm sorry, I thought that I had taken this slide out, but apparently not, so we'll do it now. Here we can see a portrait that Kahlo paints 10 years later in 1940 for Dr. Leo Eloesser. She returns to San Francisco in 1940 to get treatment from Eloesser, but also to reunite with Diego Rivera, whom she had divorced the year before. And Rivera is also in San Francisco again 10 years later, painting another mural. He's here painting the Pan American Unity mural, which is famous from our city college, but was being painted at the Golden Gate International Exposition on Treasure Island. And Eloesser encourages Kahlo to come to the United States, to come to San Francisco, and to reunite with Rivera. And so the couple is remarried in 1940 in San Francisco City Hall. And Kahlo paints this portrait for Eloesser to sort of acknowledge his role in that reunion. The next section of the exhibition is called Disability and Creativity, and it's perhaps the most intimate section. and explores how Kahlo's experiences with disability at different points in her life influenced her work. And so here we see a photograph of her after a medical procedure that she had to have. She had many throughout her life as the result of both the polio and then her accident at age 18. And so here she's in traction, laying in bed and painting on an easel or drawing. And her friend, Miguel Covarrubias, stands behind her. And so this section of the exhibition not only shares photographs of Kahlo, as we see here, but also the orthopedic and prosthetic devices that she embellishes and makes into works of art, like these casts. We also see in this exhibition how she conceals and reveals different aspects of her disability, of her experiences with her body, through both her art and her photographs. And so in this section, while it's very intimate, we only share what Kahlo herself would have shared with the public, with others. But her experiences with her body played a pivotal role in her artwork through her life. And the final section of the exhibition is entitled Art and Dress. And in it, we have 20 beautiful ensembles from Kahlo's wardrobe. All of them were worn by her, and they're from her closet in La Casa Azul, like this beautiful Resplendor or Huipil Grande that we see here. And in many examples, we see the items from the clothing right alongside or nearby photographs of Kahlo or works of art in which she depicts those items, such as this famous photo by Nicholas Marai. And we see the ensemble and that lovely magenta reboso on a mannequin. And I will say that these mannequins themselves are very impressive. They were made by the Victoria and Albert Museum for their version of the show. And they use Kahlo's proportions. So it's really wonderful to have this very sort of physical representation of this great woman in the space. And then this section of the exhibition concludes with a number of really striking self-portraits by Kahlo. Again, we see this portrait dedicated to Dr. Leo Eloesser, and she shows herself here in like, unlike many others, not in a flamboyant, beautiful huipil, but in a brown fabric that sort of recalls a nun's habit, and she has a necklace of thorns piercing her skin, and this is in reference to the celibate marriage, the remarriage that she has with Rivera. They decide when they get remarried that it will be a celibate marriage. And so to thank Eloesser, she makes this painting, but it is also expresses the pain that comes along with that reunion. And so we see in this section that Kahlo's dress is in itself an artistic creation. She combines different elements and very carefully assembles her look, but she also uses her appearance as this complex visual language in her artwork. And that this visual language is also inspired by a number of diverse factors, like her feelings of national pride, her experiences with her disability and her body, and then also her political beliefs. So I hope that gave you a bit of a taste of the exhibition and that you are inspired to come see us. As I mentioned, we're now open. The exhibition will be on view through the end of the year, we hope. So please, tickets are going fast. Even if you're a member, please reserve your tickets online ahead of time. We're doing extremely limited capacity so that we can support social distancing. But I do want to assure you that we're upholding all of the safety protocols that we need to. And I really hope that you will all come see this exhibition in person. It's a great opportunity. And many of the works that are included in the exhibition are not usually shown to the public. So please come have this intimate look at the wonderful artist and woman that was Frida Kahlo. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hillary. That was so insightful. We appreciate you so much. Frida Kahlo, Appearances Can Be Deceiving, is now on view at the DeYoung Museum. Tickets are selling out fast, so we recommend booking your tickets in advance online at tickets.famsf.org. Again, that's tickets.famsf.org. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.